Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Thomas J. Bellezza. Welcome to From the Hat, where we are talking by choice, chosen by random. Today, I have a very lovely special guest, Mr. Freddy Pants.
Hello, hello.
This man has an amazing handshake and a fantastic twerker. Or is that worker? Which one's the one that makes you money, and which one do you go to a job?
Both.
Both. Excellent. Today we're going to have a conversation about something random. What is that random, you say? Well, if you've been watching the show, we choose randomly from a hat. I'm going to put my hand in there, and Mr. Freddy Pants is going to tell me when, and I'm going to pull out a ball. Go. All right, what do we got? Oh, man. Number 20. Number 20 is the number. Let's bring it up, everybody. Let's bring it up. Number 20 is... The topic today will be, should we forgive people when they don't think they're being recorded? What are the chances we get this one today, Mr. Freddy Pants?
That's pretty coincidental.
That's fate, if I may say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the subject of the topic, and then from there, we shall discuss it. So the subject is, people often act differently when they believe they're in private. Should we forgive them for things said or done in these moments, or do these actions reveal their true character? What are the ethics of privacy and accountability? Do you agree with that standing point for the discussion?
The main topic, should we forgive people who, you know what, I think that it all falls back on integrity. No, isn't that the whole thing about integrity?
Well, yeah.
About being the person you should be when nobody's looking at you.
Well,
so it falls on the same thing. No, are you the same person when you're not being recorded? AKA, are you not put it on the show?
Well, see, I like to push back on the fact that we have the ids or the egos. So we have three ids where it's like we have our private, we have our familiar, and we have our unfamiliar, right? So, when I'm around myself, I'm not going to act the same way I would around, say, perfect strangers. There's a different etiquette versus, say, people, depending on how familiar I am with them. Like, you're going to be around your family differently than you're going to be around somebody at the counter of a deli, or even just the cashier. You might be friendly, but you're not going to talk to them about certain things that have been established in the relationship realm of the familiar. It would be weird. It'd be like if I went up to someone on the train and was like, hey, I have testicular cancer. Like, that would be my opening, right? No, but family or friends, I'd go, I need to talk to you. I have to go through this. There's something hard. You know what I'm saying? There is a different protocol for those ids, and there's nothing we can do about it. But if I may, are you suggesting that the fundamental morals of and ideals that a person have should be reflected in all three ids? Meaning, if I am talkative or not talkative, and I believe that kindness is a virtue, that I should just be kind to all people, and not just when I feel I'm being critiqued.
Well, I mean, I believe that, because that's who you actually are. I'm not talking about you. I don't know. You're probably a dick. But what I'm saying is that if you are, let's say you're racist, right?
Yeah.
But then you're being recorded, right? Now you're not racist, because it could go to like a different, it could go into the social media stratosphere, and now everybody sees who you are.
So what you're saying, let me clarify this. I just need to make sense of this.
Yeah.
You're saying, based on the question that's here, is ultimately like, if somebody is racist, but they don't know they are being recorded.
Correct.
And then they are confronted by it, and they're like, oh, I was just talking out of turn. And it's like, but we got you on your true feelings, right? But what about context? Like, what if somebody asked them, right? Like, they were like, hey, are you racist? And they go, I'm racist? But that's when they got recorded.
No, that's different. That's not giving any type of content. That's not a that's just a soundbite.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, if they're like, I'm racist, and then they start making fun of, like, let's say they weren't Italian, like, Italian, yeah, I'm racist, Italians, yeah, with their sources, right? And now they're being recorded having this rebuttal of a sarcastic rebuttal defending the ridiculousness of somebody suggesting they are racist, but they were filmed as a racist.
Those are very few and far between.
We
all know that. Yeah, they are, because okay. Now let's talk about who was it? Who was the lady upstate New York that she didn't know she was being recorded, and she was like talking crazy about these black kids that apparently crashed the party.
Melania?
And no. and then when they confronted her, when they got caught with when they got the footage, then she apologized, like, oh, I was talking out of turn, BS. Now she wants to apologize. At the moment, she felt it was fine because she knew she wasn't being recorded. She thought she wasn't being recorded.
Well, I agree with that. If you are purposefully doing the thing that makes you a horrible person,
right,
and then someone's like, we got you, and then you're like, look, about that.
Yeah, you got me at the wrong time.
Yeah, I was on antidepressants.
Right.
And I shouldn't be fired from Roseanne.
Correct. And even that, she's still back.
And she should be, though. Who cares? Do you know why who shouldn't care? Because every single person in the entire world has the freedom to ignore what she does, and then it'll go away on its own. But if people support her, she has supporters. But then you get to say to yourself, who's supporting her? Well, now I can make a decision. Do I want to be around that person or not around that person? I don't think people should be denied their hatred because it's freedom. The thing they should be denied is physically going out of their way to not only hurt people, but to stop or infringe on people. But if somebody has a distorted thought perspective or position on something that is horrible, let them have it. Enjoy yourself, because that's only going to help us determine if we want to be around them or not.
Right.
And even if they're getting quote unquote rewarded by it, that reward's not going to last as long as you think it is. And even if it does, it's only going to establish the gathering of individuals that we know. Like, for example, if a bunch of Nazis came to somebody who was speaking, and the Nazi speaker is saying terrible things, and then we see like 30 people there. Well, now we know that 31 of those people we don't need to associate with. We have the ability to make an educated decision. But this is the other thing. If that we don't have the right to go get that guy, any one of them, fired, but we do have the right that if they came and wanted to work with us or do something with us, we can deny them. We could be like, I'm not interested in.
So don't fire the Nazi.
It's not that it's don't fire the Nazi. It's don't fire people because they have opinions. Now, if they
that's fine.
If they start proactively doing the movement, now they are breaking the two rules. They are infringing on people's freedoms, and they are physically hurting people. Like the Nazis of Germany had to be stopped, right? But like if somebody is in a bar and they're just like, I'm a Nazi, you're not going home with that person.
So how did they get their whole propaganda out?
So that became from the idea of political intrigue, manipulation of the press. There was inside working for the governmental element to send Mr. Hitler, the Adolf of the small mustaches community.
But it has to start with a pebble, right? Like a pebble in the pond. So then now it just ripples out.
No, it did not stop with Nazi propaganda.
Of course not.
But if we saw Nazi propaganda, that's going to create a reaction because
But it did start with hate, though.
It didn't start with hate. That's the crazy part. The pebble had nothing to do with hate. It had to do with change because the German government and all these other ridiculous things. It turned into the truth. They had the Olympics in Germany.
Yes.
If it was based on hate, they would have never had the Olympics in Germany. The community that sets where the Olympics go would have banned it from Germany.
What day? They had Olympics
Yeah.
in Russia. They had Olympics in China.
Yeah, but in Russia, how they did it and what happened with that, it established a time of peace. But they weren't doing anything.
But the thing is, the question is, were people in Russia at that moment didn't feel like they were being oppressed when they had the Olympics?
Yeah, but okay, listen. They weren't killing people in the sense of like Joe Stalin murdering 6 million Russians.
Yes, I understand that.
You know what I'm saying? Like
there were
Germany was
there were
killing
people that felt like they were being oppressed at that moment in Russia, and they still had the Olympics there.
But the oppression wasn't. Let's put it this way. If it was in a way that was violently bad, the Olympics would have been taken from that. If it was in the same capacity that the Nazis became, they would have not had the Olympics there. If Joe Stalin was at
I don't think they knew that the Nazis were doing
correct. Correct.
The Olympics were there. Correct. Okay.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Like it was a pebble, but it wasn't a pebble of hate. It was a pebble of misdirection. Like the Nazis that did the whole march and everything, like every one of them, we know, we have physical truth that these are terrible, horrible people. And we can make these decisions, right? But if we take away those freedoms, we can't tell who is real and who is fake, who is, right? Because if we, like, for example, there are some people who collect Nazi memorabilia.
Right.
They just do. Right? And maybe whatever their reason is has nothing to do with the support of it. Maybe it has to do with, they wanted to collect it to take it away from the world of every eye in the world, and they keep it in a vault, and they want to take it out of the world, right? But we don't know.
Why not destroy it?
No, but hear me out. But then someone hears that they're a collector. Well, now they're going to get fired. We got to get rid of them. They have to go to jail. Like, you can't do that to people. You can't just make an assumption based on what they're doing, but you can choose not to associate with that person.
So you feel the assumption would not be that they like what they have, instead of, if they want to get rid of it in the world, why not destroy it?
Well, maybe there's something else going on. We don't know their plan. That's my point. We cannot make aggressive decisions based on what we feel because of our perspectives and our bias. But we can absolutely. What?
This one might not be it, man. I usually agree with you on certain things, but that one, if you're collecting, right? So you're collecting memorabilia.
Ignore the collecting of the Nazi, because that's not my point. Let's make the point something simple. Let's make it simple.
Okay, let's go.
You're Colombian, right?
Correct.
Okay. You enter an area where there are people who hate Colombians. Okay? And they think you're there to sell drugs, cocaine, do horrible things to women, and murder. So they instantly.
Is that the stereotype of Colombians?
No, it doesn't matter what it is.
But
this group of people have just decided that their feelings,
right,
on your presentation and their understanding of Colombians, minus the fact that they don't have the whole information, so they act emotionally and they infringe on your freedoms, and they purposely harm you by taking you in, beating you up, arresting you, throwing you in a cell, and then you want to be tried. You're like, hey, I didn't do anything. So they bring you through a trial, but everybody on the jury is a part of their community, and everybody is turning into this herd mentality of hate because they are only basing it off of the limited information of their perspective. Now, if you were a Colombian who happened to murder people and sell drugs, and we have the evidence, now we can make choices, which is my point. If you're somebody doing Nazi things and you're just speaking, we don't know the whole details. Leave them alone. We don't have the right to stop them. But the moment they start doing the things that are not pebbles, because we know what they are capable of. So if we see, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you start there, those things become over exaggerated actions that can affect all of us. And that's the problem with ignoring freedom. That is my point.
So, question, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel the speech is the first act?
No, speech is not. I don't even believe in hate speech. Freedom is the ability to speak. It is not the ability to infringe on people's freedoms or physically hurt people. Right?
But that's based on a person who hears the speech, correct?
No.
If you hold on, if you hear if somebody hears a speech that is towards them, and they feel them. Hold up, wait. Right, if a Nazi is saying the speech, right, and the speech is against, I guess, Jewish people, right?
Okay. All right.
Do they not have the right to feel like, hey, this is hate speech?
Oh, they have it. Yes, they 100% have the right to feel it is not only hate speech, but to be emotionally affected by it.
Right. So
what they don't have the right to do is take out a gun and shoot them.
That's not. But what I'm saying, what I'm saying is for them,
what are you saying they can do?
Hold on, wait. For them, the speech is the beginning of hate.
No, it is not.
For the way they feel about it, the speech, it has the ability to then create more people that hate them as well. And then
the seed had already been cast.
Catalyst. What do you mean?
The catalyst had already been. The Nazis exist. The catalyst has already been.
We're talking about like somebody right now.
That's what I'm saying. If we saw a Nazi now, the catalyst has already been set for the dichotomy or the zeitgeist of insanity. Like the way of the Nazi has already, the foundation for the hatred and the disgustingness of these horrible people and these horrible thinking groups have already been set. It's like if somebody came out, was your neighbor and they're KKK, and you're like, well, wearing that hood is going to start. No, it already has started. The foundation has been laid. So
there's no upping the situation.
Yeah, like we already get it. We know what they're capable of, but they are not doing the thing they are capable of because they know that if they started doing it, the army is much bigger than the militia. You know, like when people are like, oh, we need guns to protect ourselves against the government if they shoot. Like they have tanks. They have nuclear missiles. They have jets. And the people who have some guns and gold and silver in their bunker cannot fight against the army. And if those people end up being KKK or fake or Nazi people, and they start physically taking action, now we can stop because they are breaking the law. I would say ignore the fact that the Nazis are KKK. What I'm talking about is that sense of freedom. That freedom, if we stop freedom before the acts begin, we are now setting a precedent to stop other people just because I'm offended. Meaning, if you say poo-poo pants, poo-poo poppy pants, and I'm like, oh, the P word, I'm so offended. It's hate speech. It makes me sick to my stomach.
Right.
That's obviously an extreme, but that is the slippery slope that could lead to the sensitivity of taking action. And that is all I'm saying is if Nazis showed up and started doing physical things and they start like really doing like burning people's houses down, beating people up, like that's a hate law. You get
why do you feel that we should wait till it gets to that point?
It's not that I feel. It's not that I feel we should wait till we get to that point. It's that if we don't wait to that point, we are all in trouble. You will not have rights. If you take the rights away from other people for your safety, it's sort of like the idea that, you know how like your phone, there's that sense of potentially they're listening on you and they infringe it, right? But it's for our freedom, quote unquote. Do you appreciate that they could turn your webcam on at any time without your knowledge just because they heard you randomly walking in a house? Should we forgive you that you didn't know you were being recorded? And you said something like, man, Man, this president, I can't. I hope the president gets kicked in the balls, right? And now they're filming you. Is that okay? It's for your freedom, though.
See,
It's
but
so
you're talking to me, someone who was around when they didn't do that. So for me,
I also wasn't around when they didn't do that.
I don't know. You look at you was born yesterday. You're so young, but but for those that are born in the time after that started, for them is a normal circumstance, right? But for me, I don't care for that, because before that we were still living fine. I think that all happened after 9/11. So before that it was cool. I mean, what do they use it now? I appreciate it, because they make us somewhat safer. But to me is I could take it or leave it.
Well, you do know that there is evidence and reports and other things that are available that will describe how they have tons of nude videos and photos of people without their permission.
I'm sure if they turn. I mean,
But
it all depends on the person behind the camera, behind the
no, it's the
behind.
system.
No,
No,
but
the
I'm saying,
algorithm
like,
of it.
the government. You know what I'm saying? Like, the person behind that, who if he decides, hey, let me turn this random person's thing on to see who it is and see what they're doing.
No, they're turning it on purpose because they're hearing somebody getting it on. They're hearing people make the sex.
But that's what I'm saying.
But that's against the law.
I know that. I'm not saying it's not. What I'm saying is it all depends on the person that hears this. Here's the person having sex, then decides they want to turn the camera on.
Yeah, but they don't get in trouble for it because we have to feel safe for our freedoms.
Right. And nobody, you're not feeling safe if you see somebody sucking somebody off.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it is wrong that they do that just so we feel safe.
I agree with you.
So if we cut people's freedoms off so we feel safe before. Have you ever seen Minority Report?
Yes.
Would you appreciate a world where they use 3 dummies?
But again, no,
that's where taking freedoms away can lead. They are wrong for being Nazis, and they are wrong for being KKK.
I think the problem with Minority Report is that people then abused it. The problem is there's people out there that abuse the situation.
Yes. And if it becomes the law, you can't stop it. If the law is that there is limited freedoms, you can't stop it, because then they become bigger freedoms that are taken away.
But do you feel that this country gives way too much freedom?
No. I don't believe the country this landmass that has sporadic borders designed by centuries of people deciding that lines dictate power, give the most opportunity for growth in the world. But I also have a ton of disagreements with all countries as a construct.
So here's what I was getting at, right? The freedom to have guns, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel there's other countries that they don't have guns? They're not allowed to carry guns.
Yeah, correct. Australia.
So the question for me is, does this country give too much freedom on certain things? I think the gun situation is giving people too much freedom. And yes, back in the days, a long time ago, you were able to have a gun. You should have had a gun. It was kind of crazy out there. I get it. But now you have policing, and now you have armies. Right. Now you have armies. Do you have to have militia? Do you have to have 1,000 guns in your house? Because if you go to other countries, they're not allowed to have guns. They're not saying, and they don't have as many gun-related issues as we have here.
This is a difficult subject, but my position is, I personally don't care to own a gun. I
would ask you.
It's not something I would like to do, but I made that choice. I think other people should have the choice to own guns. However, their behavior with those guns also should dictate the way they are treated, i.e., killing someone. hurting someone, threatening someone. All these things should be rewarded with crime, like a punishment, which they are. There are restrictions to those freedoms in a sense, but at the same time, if I met somebody who had a room full of guns, I now would make the choice not to be friends with that person because
but this is the issue is once you have a gun, now you have options, right?
you do, yeah, and you should have those options.
No. I'm saying like say you get into an argument with somebody and you get really angry, now you have a gun.
And then what do they do?
I don't know. They could choose to use it, choose not to use it.
Well, let's say they use it. Is there a chance that there's a law that says that they get in trouble for it?
Oh, that again, don't try to bait me into walking into that. What I'm saying is, do people have way too many freedoms to have guns? If you didn't have a gun, it would just be a regular, I guess, fist fight or argument.
I don't think people should have guns, but I think they should have the freedom to have guns. But I also don't think people all over the world should have guns.
Right.
Yeah.
So the question is,
but that's different than a freedom.
Taking the gun law away make you feel like you're losing something.
Yes.
But for you.
Yes.
Who doesn't want a gun?
Correct. Because that is one more step towards something else being taken away.
Or just safety for everybody.
For you.
Not for me, but for everybody.
Oh, no, because I would not feel safe now. I would feel it would be as if they took the gun law away and then they said, you know what? The word you can't use is apple. Apple has some racist connotation to it that was discovered in 1307. And somebody on the internet found it out and they spread it. It became a national story. And now it is illegal to say the word apple. You could go to jail for that. Oh, yeah, but that's stupid. Oh, yeah, but I figured if we're going to take the law away for guns, why can't we have a little bit more? It's for safety. We don't want people to be hurt because it is a hate crime to say a word that offends somebody.
So somebody if they made a law saying that you can no longer use the N-word, would you feel strongly about that?
Yes. I don't think anybody should use the N-word derogatory in a derogatory fashion. Or in a way.
Isn't it only derogatory?
No. How many rap songs do you listen to? How many friends do you know that?
It's two totally different words. Now.
Oh, you're saying the hard ER?
The hard ER, right.
All right. Well, I would still say.
But either way, I would say take away the other one as well.
But I don't think it should be taken away by law. I think it should be taken away by choice. Like I have a friend.
Yeah, but people make bad choices.
What?
People make bad choices.
Yeah, but you shouldn't make a law to control their choices. You should allow them to make their choices so we could determine how to react to them.
Yes, but this is a word that the majority of people think is bad. Like probably I would say at least 98% of this country thinks it's bad.
It doesn't matter if we think it's bad. I think it's bad.
But this is what I'm saying. If you think something is bad, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do it like this. Say you're married and you have kids, right?
Okay, this is very hypothetical.
Say one day you change your mind, whatever.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yes.
And you have 3 kids.
Yeah.
But they choose to do something that is very harmful for them.
Yeah.
And then you say you can no longer do this because you know and your wife knows it's bad for these kids. They could possibly die or whatever.
Yeah.
Should you then be like, I'm not taking it away because then I'm taking away their freedom and blah, blah, blah.
Taking something away does not train, educate, or help them make decisions. Deductive reasoning is not based on isolation or restriction. Deductive reasoning. What?
Are you reading this?
No, I'm saying I'm.
Oh,
I'm looking at you on the screen. Sorry, I have a high intelligence. I apologize for my genius.
I see your eyes go like this.
No, because I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the hats on the screen.
Okay.
Do you think I had this set? Oh, I was waiting for this question. I had predetermined Freddie Pants' ridiculous hypothetical question that he
I was
pulled
like,
out of his anus hole.
I'm like, he has that all queued up real fast. Wow.
No, I'm highly intelligent.
Totally that.
I read. Listen, to answer your question, I'll dumb it down so I can get it out. The layman's version is ultimately, if I cannot teach my children to think and make choices, I am not giving them the tools to make decisions that will better their life. If they are going to do something, if they do something bad without my knowledge or my prep, for example, I didn't think they would try to jump off the Empire State Building. But I'm not going to tell a kid randomly, don't jump off the entire Empire State Building. It's bad.
Do you have kids?
No, but why would you know how many things are bad for you to sit there and go, we're going to have to list off the bad things.
All I'm saying, as a parent, sometimes you have to take things away because you could permanently hurt yourself.
No, you can punish somebody for doing something, which is what happens in real life because it teaches you consequence. But you can't take something away before it happens.
I'm not talking about adults. I'm talking about kids.
I am talking about
I understand what you're saying, and your point is valid based on adults and based on. But if you haven't had a kid, it's a different mindset. I'm not saying that you're wrong.
Yeah,
I'm just saying as a parent, as a parent, it's thinking ahead as to, hey, you know what? Because I'm in charge of this kid, I want to make sure that nothing happens. Because if something happens, then such and such, whatever.
And that's why I would like to teach my children deductive reasoning so they can make those choices and determine for themselves that jumping off the Empire State Building is bad. My father used to allow me to figure things out. He would let me, he would watch me from a safe distance. Meaning,
and how many times do you cut your penis off?
7. And now I'm stuck with 12 inches. It's horrible. But if I got in trouble or if I got hurt, he was there right away. No judgment. He did what he had to make sure I was safe. But then we would have a conversation about it. And he wouldn't say, you can't do that. He would say, why did you get in trouble? Because of doing this. Why did you get hurt? Because of doing this. What did you learn about this? And how does it influence you? Because my father was in Vietnam and they didn't tell him everything that was bad, but they had to teach him how to recognize what is dangerous. Right. And that's why I'm saying it's important not to take away freedoms just for our quote unquote safeties, because logically it tells us who to pay attention to. If they are doing things like you said, the Nazis, well, it's a seed to the inevitable horrors, right? Now, right? But if we see a Nazi, we can now start making choices. We can start figuring things out because they have chose to be very visual with their terrible, inappropriate behavior. But like the question says, should we forgive people when they don't think they're being recorded? If we say to you, if you do anything that has Nazi in it, you will get in trouble, right? Or if you do anything that represents the history of horror, you will get in trouble. So now what do? Same thing with gun laws. It's criminals still get guns because they hide the way they deal with guns. So now they're not being recorded and they're doing horrible things and we don't know who is bad. And that's
right. So when we see them doing it,
yes.
should we then, the question, like, as the question asked, should we then forgive them?
No.
There it is. So we answered the question. Took us a half hour to answer the question.
Well, we shouldn't forgive people for being horrible people, but we shouldn't stop them from being horrible people, but they should be punished for doing horrible things.
You can't stop people from being horrible people.
Yeah, but taking away freedoms would be trying to stop them before they are. If you take away the guns, you stop us from knowing who's bad.
Right, but if you stop somebody from having a gun, then that person, yes, while being bad, won't be bad enough to kill somebody.
No, incorrect. I know people personally who don't have guns, who have killed people. and they went to jail for it. And then
I
they killed
understand that.
people in jail with plastic. So it doesn't
Okay,
matter.
but this is different. Okay, this is what I'm saying.
No, we
I
want to
hear what you're
know
saying.
who's capable. We want to know who's capable, because if we don't know, then we get serial killers. We get people who poison people in secret. We get people who are planning horrible, terrible things because they're in private. But if I saw somebody with a room full of guns, I might call the cops. I might. Or I'd be like, look, they're not doing anything illegal, but they have a full room of weapons that I don't know if which is legally allowed to have or not.
Mm-hmm.
And their name, you can call the FBI and tell them, hey, I saw this person. I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. It's just I saw something that to me was perceived as suspicious because they have a room full of guns and bazookas. I would like to just give you the name and information just so you could have it. We can't do that if it's in private. If people aren't able to, as you say, and this is literally Freddy Pants' question, which is great because he said we all sent in questions. It's just so funny that's his question. If we can only know who someone is by catching them or recording them, and we don't know what they are truly capable in private, that ability to see that will vanish if we take away freedoms. That's the only thing I'm saying about freedoms is as soon as you start infringing on freedoms, it's over. It becomes one thing after the other. And even in Canada, you're not allowed to say certain words without getting fined or thrown in jail. And you cannot control somebody's speech. You can only punish somebody for their behavior. But speech, by its foundational essence, is not inappropriate. Speech is only inappropriate by the recipient, the person who receives it and perceives it as inappropriate. Because you can be talking about, oh, I lost my father and, I had to bury him. And then somebody's like, you just ruined my day. You just brought up horrible. My father died 10 years ago and we had to bury, and now I'm destroyed. And, you just said something that I wish that people wouldn't talk about people who died. Imagine now they do a petition and that's right. They can do that. I can do a petition for people that wear red shirts. Like I could do that. And if you get enough people to do that and you start trying to push those kind of ridiculous restrictions on people because of how I felt, you're going to take away your own personal freedoms and you're going to destroy the ability to evolve. If you're in another country that has no freedoms or limited freedoms, and for example, women in some countries can't do certain things. So now maybe the woman, they just so happen to be a woman, but they're super intelligent and they have the idea for curing cancer, but now they can't because they're not allowed in a lab, because whatever stupid friggin' reason, right? And vice versa. If a guy, imagine the laws were like that for guys. I believe we should all be punished for our physical actions of hurting people, or going out of our way to potentially hurt anybody, or going out of our way to infringe on people. We should absolutely be punished. But I don't think the right to do things should be taken away, because sometimes we don't go out of our way to hurt people and it just ends up hurting people. I mean, I did stand-up comedy for 10 plus years. And I can tell you right now, many people got offended at stuff I said that was not offensive. And then they didn't get offended at stuff that I knew was offensive. And then I would hear comedians say stuff that I was like,
this is way worse than what I said.
Yeah, because they're a first-year comedian, they're a white kid, and they figured the N-word will really shock people. And but it also ends up with me like somehow masturbating with my mother. And like that was always the first-year comics. And you're like, you're not saying anything. It's not intelligent. It's not funny. Right. It's not interesting. It's just these things will shock you. Right. And I'll get a reaction. And that's all I care about. I care about getting reaction. Whereas when I do comedy, even though some of my jokes were quote unquote dumb or silly, I got people thinking. And often people came up to me and says, that joke, I know it was about blank, 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 but it really made me think, Like, because I would say something as stupid and silly as, like, because I would have these one-liners I would throw out in between like story jokes because I told like long stories, and then like I would just randomly just do like like I would stop and then I go, ladies, a little heads up when a guy asks you out on a date to go to the movies, he's just basically saying you're really gorgeous, but I don't want to listen to you talk for 2.5 hours. you know. See, there you go. Right, but what am I really saying there? I'm not saying guys are being rude. I'm saying that, like, why are our first dates? Because that joke would actually lead into a long rant about relationships and how we lie to each other for the first couple months because we can't allow them to see the truth. And then the next thing you know, you're dating somebody that's either going to beat you up in 6 months or, they're narcissistic or whatever, but like in reality, it's like, why do we go to the movies on a first date? You can't, how are you going to get to know them?
Maybe they want to see a movie.
So go see a movie as a third or fourth date.
Yeah, but maybe they want to see it. Maybe they didn't want to go by themselves. Maybe they do. Maybe there's something. Maybe there's something extra after the movie. A movie and a date. Maybe the date comes afterwards. But the movie. Did I take my wife out the first time? No, I did not take it.
Oh, you're having a biased reaction because you took your wife on a date.
No. I took her to sushi first.
Oh, and what did you get to do at sushi?
Yes, we got to talk, but that's
all right. Then your argument
now.
Is
no, I'm saying you could go to the movies. Doesn't necessarily mean they want to hear you talk. Maybe you want to talk in the movie. Let me go see a movie.
Oh, you're those people.
We can whisper to each other like, "Hey,
I'm going to eat your booty later."
Right. I'm just saying it can't happen.
If it's not just that you're breaking down the joke, and you are
you're a dick.
If somebody was like, "Hey, I want to go on a date with you," and they're like, "What do you want to do?" and you're like, "Let's go see a movie, and then I'll take you home." That's not a date.
No, that is not a date.
Correct. That is
not a date.
Yeah. So it's like you want to communicate with people.
Who does that?
Many people.
That's stupid.
Yes.
That's why you get no vagina afterwards.
First of all, didn't you date when you were in high school? And I'm not talking about like just recently.
Well, thank you. Yeah, but it wasn't a movie thing.
What was it? You took him out to pizza, and then your mom was sitting there going, "Isn't my Freddy Pants such a lovely boy?"
No, like, I took him to the diner. Actually, they would come over to my house. My grandma
I bet they would.
My grandma would go to play lotto, like at the supermarket.
Oh,
probably like 2 miles away. I'm like, well, we have about a half hour.
We have a half hour to quote unquote watch a movie. Yeah, but if you're on a date to just get it down, you're also not getting to meet. You're not getting to learn who the person is. Intimacy through sexual physical contact is not necessarily deepening a relationship. However, it is valid and important.
That is not true.
So if you don't talk to somebody at all, and all you do is just use them to get a booty call, you're learning about them?
In order to get to the booty call, you have to talk to them first. You're on the phone with these people, talking to them for a long period of time.
Oh, well, you're talking about the old days, not.
Yes,
you're not texting. How deep? You've been married for how long? You haven't had a deep textual conversation with a random woman.
Years.
What?
I've been married for like 13 years. You are absolutely right. I'm talking about back in the days. I'm not talking about now. Yeah, but now it's even worse. Now it's terrible. Now the dating pool is horrendous.
How do you know?
Because I got daughters and nephews.
Yeah, well,
and my sister's single.
And ask them. Oh yeah, she looking? No, ask them. I could use a nice Colombian woman. Ask your daughters, "Can I see your phone?" And you'll see none of it is deep conversation. It's
not. It's all hey or dick pics.
What? Why are your daughters sending?
Really?
Why do you keep sending me these camel toes?
Oh my God.
I ate a lot of high watered food this week. It's water weight, I sure.
Well, yeah, you're right. Nowadays, no, people don't have deep conversations, and it's just because you could have your cake and eat it too.
Exactly. And but going back to the whole thing is, we can't regulate speech based on people's perceptions, biases, or feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can regulate the response to things that are physically, because again, you know, imagine you're wearing a shirt. Oh, well, here's a real life example. I had just beaten cancer,
Right.
and I had the shirt of Deadpool with his, you know, doing the middle fingers, and it said "fuck cancer." And I was wearing it to celebrate my victory. I'm a fan of the comics. I started my career in comics. I
Great
love
shirt, by the way.
it's a good shirt, right?
Great shirt.
And somebody stopped me on the street and said, "You better take that shirt off right now. It's
You
vulgar
better.
and offensive." And I
You
said,
better.
"Why?" They're like, "Because it's insensitive to people that have cancer." And I said, "But I just beat cancer and this is my victory shirt." And he's like, "I don't care." Right. And then they started telling me about how they lost somebody. And then they said they were going to beat me up for a shirt. Now, here's another example of that. I had just a hat on with the orange that represents the kidney cancer that I had. Right. You know, my gray hat with the little orange.
No.
Oh, I have like an orange ribbon cancer hat.
Mm.
I was wearing that on set on SNL, plug. And somebody was sitting down, and then they saw me across the room. They did one of these like wave overs, and I came over. I go, "Hey, what's up?" They go, "If you don't take that hat off right now, I'm going to tell the producer to get you kicked off the show." And I was like, "Who are you?" And they're like, they were just background, and that's so they told me, you know. And I was like, "Why would you do that?" And like, because it's offensive that you're wearing a hat like that, and you probably don't even know what it means. Again,
People's
perspective.
perception.
Yeah, we cannot base laws on preemptive decisions that are influenced by the restrictive perspectives of our emotional biases. It would destroy the future. It would destroy potential and possibility. But obviously, if I wore the hat and I was going around giving people cancer, stop me, throw me in jail, do something. I am doing something horrible. If I went into a cancer ward wearing a shirt that said "cancer rules" and you people are lost, I should be arrested and at least detained until they figure out if I'm mentally stable or not. Because that's insane to go into a place on purpose to purposefully hurt and offend people. Right?
Agreed.
Because it's the same thing with the N-word. If I happen to be white, which I am not, I'm Mediterranean, I'm just very pale. But if I happen to be a quote unquote white person, like a German or something,
Very pale.
I'm extremely pale. Everyone else in my family has color, and I'm like, of all the Sicilians and Southern Italians, I had to get. They sprayed me with transparent. Anyway, but if I was German and I was running around and I was purposely going around the neighborhood calling every black person I met and this and that and this, right? I should be detained for that because I am purposefully going around trying to incite hate. But if I'm speaking to a group of people and I'm just using that word and it's all hateful, I can't and shouldn't be stopped. However, unless I don't have my permits for the sanctioned speaking engagement, if the people around the sanctioned speaking engagement are being rough and attacking people, destroying property, you know what I'm saying? Like, the idea of freedom of speech is different than the idea of going out of your way to purposefully influence people's bad days. You know what I'm saying? It's like I should be able to say churches are evil and horrible. But if I went into a church and started screaming at everybody saying they are evil and horrible, I need to be detained because either I'm a threat to them and they have to verify if I am or not, right? Because sometimes they detain just to make sure you're not going to hurt yourself or other people. I need to be detained to make sure I'm not mentally unstable. And I have to be detained to figure out what's going on for the potential safety of people. But once they realize I'm not a threat and then I'm just somebody reciting hatred because I hate the church, now a couple things happen. A restraining order is put on me. I'm not allowed to enter the church or go near the church. Maybe a restraining order is put onto the people that work at the church, and now I'm not allowed to be, 500 or 1,000 yards from them, right? Like, there is a process of it. But now what did I do? What happens in that situation is because of the freedoms, that church will now be protected from someone who's crazy. Do you know what I'm saying? Or someone who hates the church. But it all comes back to your question, which I love your question. Should people be forgiven? I don't think anyone should be forgiven for their behavior, for bad behavior. However, I shouldn't say that. Not bad behavior, hateful behavior. Bad behavior should be forgiven.
What's the definition of bad behavior, though?
Bad behavior is like, Louis C.K. Like, forgive the guy. Not only did he ask the women, but when they said no, he didn't. And even though he had a placement of power, and sometimes women felt like they had to say yes, a lot of women came out and said, "Oh, no, I liked it. Sometimes I enjoyed it. Sometimes I told him no, and he didn't." I don't think that's a harsh enough crime. Now, if he was running around doing that to random people, if you know what I mean, like he was just taking his junk out and just, that's horrible behavior.
So he should. Do you feel like he should be forgiven? Which I'm not. I agree with you. Yeah. But do you feel that he should still be allowed to do it?
His kink?
Yeah. Actually,
Yes, as long as people agree to it. But he makes a great joke when he came back from it all. He says, now that everybody knows my thing, even Obama knows my thing. It was very funny. He's like, and I recommend never letting people know your thing because, I can't even go to the deli without ordering ham and I know your thing. And he's like, so my advice for anyone who has their thing known is, if you're going to do it, ask. And if they say yes, ask again, just for clarification. And then don't do it.
Right.
But if you have a kink, you should be allowed to do your kink. But I don't think you should do your kink for like someone like Harvey Weinstein. That wasn't a kink. That was a power move. He was doing that for that's disgusting.
Yeah.
We can't forgive that behavior because he was going out of his way to put people in situations where they couldn't benefit unless they did X, Y, and Z. Someone like Bill Cosby shouldn't be forgiven. But Kevin Hart making some of those inappropriate jokes back in the day on Twitter should be forgiven.
Yes.
Like there's certain bad behavior that isn't necessarily bad, but that eventually becomes inappropriate. And then ultimately we learn that was not what I should be doing. It's sort of like what you were saying with the N-word, that no one should be saying it. Well, if the day ever comes where people are just like, let's just get rid of this word, it's not even worth it, right? Like even saying it to get power back from it, it's just a horrible, hateful word. It's just terrible. And then somebody says it, right? But like they said it back in the 1910. I mean, 1990, right? They're like in 1990, video popped up of where a rapper said it in a rap song, and it's 2040, and everyone's like, we have to cancel them, and they're horrible people. They use the N-word in their song in the 1990s, and
but those are usually young kids that have that grew up in the moment, and then you see old footage and are like, wait a minute, oh no, he was like that, yeah, but it's a different
That's what
time.
happened with Kevin Hart.
Yes, I know, I remember that.
Yeah, so not that it was with the N-word, it was other stuff, but at the same time, like we learn and grow.
Wow.
You got to appreciate and forgive people who grow and learn. If they don't, that's a different story. We can't forgive bad behavior if it is, if you're a horrible person and you just tell people that you wish they died, and you can't forgive a Nazi for their behavior. You can't.
No,
you can't. It doesn't matter if they have the freedom to say it or not. Like,
right.
Thank you for letting me know you're a horrible person. Anyway, all right. Freddy Pants, is there any way people can find you, or you don't care anymore?
You can find me at the same name right there, Freddy_Pants on Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent photos of what are those, eggplants or I don't know. He puts them in shorts for some reason. All right. So
They're very pretty.
anyway, thank you very much. This has been From the Hat, talking by choice, chosen by random. Today's topic was pretty exciting. I think we got a lot out of this. What do you agree? Disagree?
I agree. I think it was a great conversation.
All
Very
right.
nice to have it with you, my friend.
I appreciate that. And hopefully we don't have to delete this episode. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.